Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on KTComix. On this episode, what we're going to do is another segment of our Collecting Comics 181. For those that don't know, what this segment is meant for is to help new people starting their journey in collecting comic books. We give tips, options, and just basically talk about the hobby itself. Today's topic of choice is really starting at the basics. It's where to begin reading comic books. Everyone has their preference, and I'm here to discuss these options. Let's get into it. Comics have been around for a very long time, and when you first get into the hobby, it can be quite overwhelming and a bit confusing. But I'm here to say that it's actually a lot easier than it looks. Characters such as Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman have tons of stories to them and a lot of great material. But where do you begin? Starting off at issue number 1. Is it efficient? Yes, of course it is. Will you know what happens in later issues when it comes flashbacks and stuff like that? Yeah, of course. Is it daunting and realistic? Yes and no. Like I said earlier, a lot of these characters, they've been around since the 30s and 40s, so to obtain an issue number 1 can be quite hard to come by, not to mention it could be pretty expensive. Luckily for us though, over the years, there has been reprints made of major titles featuring our favorite superheroes. And if it's not in single form, like a floppy comic, there's also collector's editions that have runs, and also graphic novels or trade paperbacks that you will be able to have that number 1 issue in, so you can get the storyline that way. Another note about starting off at issue number 1, for modern day comics, a lot of the time, major companies such as Marvel and dccomics are constantly rebooting their titles, starting off at issue number 1. This is a great opportunity for new beginners because it's a new, fresh start, and you don't have to worry about missing out on anything on previous issues. I think this method is probably one of the most common reasons why people don't join collecting comic books, because if they don't have number 1, they kind of get a little overwhelmed, and they don't want to start midway through a storyline, so they just give up on it. But I'm here to tell you, it's not as bad as one thinks it is. So you recently watched a superhero movie, and we'll just say Venom for now, right? And you enjoyed that character. Well, you don't have to start off at Spider-Man number 1. No, in fact, Eddie Brock and Venom, they don't show up into Spider-Man until issue 298 and end at 300. You won't miss a thing about Venom, and it's a great starting off point, and you can continue on from there. Maybe you have an artist or writer that you really enjoy. Well, you can use resources online to actually find out what they've all worked on. So for example, I really enjoyed Jim Lee's artwork. I went on the internet and I found out his first appearance in comics is actually Solson's Christmas Special number 1, Samurai Santa. Oh yeah. But I know he's also worked on Batman, and so again I went to the internet and I did some research, and I found out that Batman 608 to 619 is Jim Lee's famous Batman Hush story, so I can start there. Another great and easy way to get a story arc are mini and limited series. These are generally 4 to 12 issues long that have a beginning, middle, and end to them. A good example of these is Infinity Gauntlet and Civil War. Both great stories, and I highly recommend checking those out. There's also something called one-shots, which is one comic that has a beginning, middle, and end to it, just at one time. A good example of this would be Joker's The Killing Joke. This option is how I started my journey into collecting comic books, and I still use it today. I often go to my local comic book shop and I ask, hey, do you have a good story that involves this certain character? It's a good jumping point to see exactly if you like it or not. Go to your local comic book shop, find the latest issue of a title, and just dive in. Yes, you're going to be a bit confused, but that's okay. Either two things are going to happen here. One, you're going to enjoy that comic book, and you just created yourself a goal to go back and collect the previous issues. Secondly, you might not enjoy that comic, and that's okay, right? Not every comic is meant for everyone. But you gain knowledge that you don't like that title, so don't waste your time reading it anymore. Fire it. Go find a title you actually enjoy. With this option, I would not do it in mass quantity. This is more like I'm dipping my toe in the water just to see if I like it or not kind of method. Comic books on average are $4 to $6 a piece, And if you get a big pile all at once, the price tag for that could be a bit steep for something you may not like. Another thing I want to talk about is Free Comic Book Day. Use this to your advantage. Comic book stores have a day where comic books can be free for you to go and check out. Try this out. It's a great method and it's awesome. I love it. So these were some of the options on where to begin reading comics. I can say that this hobby is a ton of fun and you can get great entertainment out of it. Everyone has their own preference on where to begin. The main thing is that you start to try it out. Okay, that's the main thing. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and it helped you out. If you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button for future content. And until next time, keep on collecting.